as we head into the high-speed turns at 9 and 10, with Verstappen getting so close.
Yeah, but he's in the dirty air through these high-speed chicanes. This should just be enough for Lando to break free.
Lando Norris has done it. The 25-year-old British driver delivered a masterclass performance at Albert Park, winning the season-opening Australian Grand Prix in spectacular fashion. Despite treacherous conditions and relentless pressure from four-time world champion Max Verstappen, Norris held his nerve to cross the finish line just 0.895 seconds ahead of his rival. This victory marks McLaren's 12th win in Australia, setting a new record previously held by Ferrari. McLaren entered the 2025 season with high expectations following impressive performances in Bahrain testing. The team lived up to the hype during Saturday's qualifying session, securing a front-row lockout that sent a clear message to their competitors. Norris claimed pole position with a stunning lap, while teammate Oscar Piastri secured second place, delighting the home crowd. The dominance was undeniable. Verstappen, their closest challenger, qualified nearly 4/10 behind Norris. After qualifying, Norris made a bold statement about McLaren's performance. "I don't know why people always talk about the car so much, like Oscar and I drove very well in qualifying, but the others should not have been as far off as what they were. That was clear, and I do think we have by a little margin the best car, I'm not denying that, but not everything is about the car, that is clear." Race day in Melbourne arrived with ominous skies and a weather forecast that promised drama. Heavy rain earlier in the day created extremely challenging conditions on a track already known for its difficulty when wet. What made Albert Park particularly hazardous was the combination of factors working against driver control. The coastal location brought unpredictable wind gusts. The track surface, used just once a year for racing, had been baked by sunshine in previous days, then covered with racing rubber from support events. When rain fell on this combination, along with the painted lines that crisscross this public park road circuit, grip levels plummeted to dangerously low levels. As Martin Brundle described it in his race analysis, when water falls on top of that, along with the copious painted lines of this otherwise year-round public park, the resultant low grip can feel like ice. These conditions would test even the most experienced drivers on the grid. The drama began before the race officially started. During the formation lap, Racing Bull rookie Isaac Hadjar lost control at the exit of Turn 1, crashing into the wall and ending his Grand Prix debut before it had even begun. The visibly distraught Frenchman had to be consoled by several figures, including Anthony Hamilton and F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali. This incident forced an aborted start, with a second formation lap taking place 10 minutes later. When the lights finally went out, Norris maintained his lead into Turn 1, though his getaway wasn't perfect. Verstappen, meanwhile, made a lightning start, passing Piastri to claim second position. Both McLarens slewed wildly on the exit of Turn 1, struggling for grip as they applied power. The chaotic opening continued when Alpine's Jack Doohan crashed at Turn 6, caught out by the treacherous white lines. During the ensuing safety car period, Carlos Sainz, last year's race winner, also found the barriers, spinning his Williams at the final corner while gently accelerating. 3 drivers had crashed out, and the race had barely begun. Only 14 of the 20 starters would eventually see the checkered flag in what was rapidly becoming one of the most incident-filled races in recent memory. When racing finally resumed after the initial safety car period, a clear pattern emerged at the front. Norris led Verstappen, with Piastri close behind in third. This trio quickly began pulling away from fourth-place George Russell in the Mercedes. The gap to Russell grew to 8 seconds by lap 13 as the track began to dry. However, Verstappen's challenge faced a setback on lap 18 when he made an uncharacteristic error, brushing the gravel trap at turn 11. This mistake allowed Piastri to pass him, putting McLaren in a dream 1-2 position. What followed was a display of McLaren's superior pace. Norris and Piastri began to extend their lead over Verstappen at an alarming rate. By the time Fernando Alonso crashed his Aston Martin on lap 34, triggering another safety car, the McLaren duo had built a commanding 18-second advantage over the defending world champion. Red Bull was burning through its tires far quicker than the McLaren, which signals the MCL 39 is kinder on its rubber than the RB21. On average, Verstappen had about a 6/10 deficit to Norris every lap, although this is helped by the alarming loss of lap time once the Red Bull munched through its intermediate rubber. Shortly after the restart, the promised rain arrived with sudden intensity, transforming the race once again. Both McLarens ran wide at turn 12 as they hit the wet section of track. While Norris managed to recover quickly, Piastri's car spun completely, leaving him stranded on the grass at turn 13. He eventually got going again, but was a lap down by the time he rejoined. Norris immediately pitted for intermediate tires while Verstappen briefly stayed out on slicks and inherited the lead. It was a momentary advantage for Red Bull, as the intensifying rain soon forced Verstappen to pit as well, tiptoeing around the final sector on increasingly treacherous slick tires. Norris later said, "We went off, made some big mistakes, I went through the gravel and caused a lot of damage, but these are the ones that are enjoyable and unpredictable, but this time we got it right and ended on top." The rain claimed more victims as Red Bull's Liam Lawson crashed at turn 2 and Sauber's Gabriel Bortoleto lost control at turn 13. With both cars requiring recovery, the safety car was deployed once more, setting up a dramatic 6-lap sprint to the finish between Norris and Verstappen. The final restart positioned Norris ahead of Verstappen with just 6 laps remaining. The pressure was immense as the Red Bull loomed large in Norris's mirrors. The McLaren driver initially pulled away, but then made a critical error at the notorious turn 6, dropping a wheel in the gravel. This mistake allowed Verstappen to close to within DRS range, a potentially race-deciding moment. With DRS activated, Verstappen gained approximately 1 second per lap on the straights, putting Norris under intense pressure.
We got a lot quicker, and then the Red Bull started to struggle. So I knew Max would be quick in those last few laps, and I knew he would, risk a bit more because it's only 5, 6, 7 laps to go. And I did make a mistake in turn 6 where I just put a wheel on the gravel. I just lost all my momentum and drive. And Max got to within DRS, and then DRS really managed to help him stay there. So it's just tough because it's not so much just the pressure of him being there, but it was the pressure of if I put a wheel too close to a white line on an entry, I'm off. If I clip the curb wrong in 6 on the inside, I'm off. If I dip a wheel in the gravel, I get a bad run in his past. There's so many little things that can go wrong. So just trying to concentrate on not locking, not rear locking, not hitting the curbs wrong, but still trying to go quicker than you've ever gone because, a guy's trying to do the same behind you, So it was stressful. I'm not going to lie about that. And, I was checking my mirrors a good amount and things like that. But even when Will came on the radio to me and told me just to chill out a little bit,
Despite the pressure, Norris remained remarkably composed. With calm guidance from his race engineer Will Joseph, he defended perfectly through the final laps, preventing Verstappen from finding a way past. When the checkered flag waved, just 0.895 seconds separated the two drivers. Norris said this after his victory: "It was amazing. A tough race, especially with Max behind me. I was pushing. It was, especially the last 2 laps, a little bit stressful, I'm not gonna lie, but amazing way to start the year." In the aftermath of his victory, Norris was quick to acknowledge the team's contribution while also emphasizing his own performance. "We got it wrong a lot last year, so I guess we learned from our mistakes," he reflected, highlighting McLaren's improved strategic decision-making. Speaking about the challenges of the race, Norris said, "It was a tough race, especially with Max behind me. I was pushing. It was a little bit stressful. I am not going to lie. We went off, made some big mistakes. I went through the gravel and caused a lot of damage, but these are the ones that are enjoyable and unpredictable. But this time we got it right and ended on top." Norris didn't shy away from acknowledging McLaren's car advantage while maintaining that driver's skill played a crucial role. "I think we do, by a little margin, have the best car. I'm not denying that, but not everything is about the car, and that's clear." He also praised the team's winter development work.
So there's a lot more behind the scenes that even I don't know. A lot of it is the strategy team doing their work. So I owe the strategy team a lot of credits for today because they've put in a lot of time and effort over the winter to build up and improve on such things even more. And it's not just about driving a car quickly on a day like today, but a big part of it is also that. So, I owe a lot to Will and the strategy team today.
Oscar Piastri got past Lewis Hamilton on the last lap, and this is how he did it, going all the way around the outside. What a...
Lewis Hamilton's highly anticipated Ferrari debut has ended in disappointment as the 7-time world champion struggled to a meager 10th place finish in a chaotic Australian Grand Prix. The British driver, who had described the move to the Italian team as the most exciting period of my life just days earlier, admitted his first race weekend in the famous red livery went a lot worse than he had expected.
At least I got 1 point, but well, did I get a point? I don't know if I did get a point, so yeah. But yeah, overall, not what I was hoping for.
Hamilton's performance at Albert Park fell dramatically short of the expectations surrounding his blockbuster switch to Ferrari after 12 years with Mercedes. The 40-year-old qualified a modest 8th on Saturday before managing to secure just a single championship point in Sunday's incident-filled race, which was won by McLaren's Lando Norris ahead of Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Hamilton's former Mercedes teammate George Russell. It was very tricky and went a lot worse than I thought it would go, Hamilton told Sky Sports F1 after the race. The car was really hard to drive today. For me, I'm just grateful I kept it out of the wall, because that's where it wanted to go most of the time. The difficulties Hamilton faced were evident throughout the race, which started in wet conditions, dried up, and then finished with another rain shower. This challenging mix of conditions appeared to exacerbate the problems Hamilton was experiencing as he adapted to his new team and car. I didn't have any confidence in the car and was nearly in the wall most of the time, Hamilton said. It felt like I was in the deep end. Overall, not what I was hoping for, but there was so much to get accustomed to get used to, with all the switch settings and changes that they, the team, were throwing at you over the radio. Hamilton's frustration peaked when Ferrari kept him and Leclerc on slicks as rain fell with 13 laps to go. While this briefly put Hamilton in the lead, the strategy backfired as conditions worsened. I hung out as long as I could, got in the lead at one point, Hamilton explained. Just the guidance with how much more rain was coming was missing there, so I think we missed out. The information I got was it would be a short shower, real quick. At the time, it was only at the last corner, so to me I thought, the rest of the track was dry, I can keep this on track if that's all that's coming, then more came. The strategic miscalculation was acknowledged by Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur, who admitted the team had made the wrong decision regarding when to switch to wet tires. It was the first time we had to communicate between the pit wall and car. We can do a better job. It was not a clean one at all, Vasseur said, promising to review the matter before next weekend's Chinese Grand Prix.
Det är alltså 15:e platsen vi mäter på nu för både Russell och Hamilton.
Kommer fram i det här partiet där de har som mest problem. Vi kan se i nederkanten av bilden hur mycket det hoppar upp och ner för det. Och det här påverkar honom in i den här.
Communication issues between Hamilton and his new race engineer Riccardo Adami were apparent throughout the race, with the driver repeatedly asking Adami to leave him to it when the engineer attempted to provide information. Despite this evident frustration, Hamilton praised Adami's efforts after the race. I think Ricciardo did a really good job. We're learning about each other bit by bit, Hamilton told reporters. After this we'll download, we'll go through all the comments, things I said and vice versa. Generally, I'm not one that likes a lot of information in race unless I ask for it. He did his best today, and we'll move forward. Sky Sports. F1 analyst Karun Chandok highlighted this communication challenge as a key area for improvement. One of the things that came out of all the radio messages we played is he and his engineer, Riccardo Adami, need to have a bit more time to understand just how much communication Lewis wants and what type of information, Chandok noted. Race engineers and drivers will spend more time together than they do with their partners in the season. It's still round one, and they just have to find their feet, maybe have a conversation between now and China, he added, pointing out that Adami is carrying on what he feels is natural as an engineer, but he's dealing with a different animal, and Lewis needs a different type of communication. Beyond communication issues, Hamilton's struggles stemmed from the Ferrari SF25's handling. Despite 162 laps of Bahrain testing, he wrestled with a car vastly different from the Mercedes he drove for over a decade.
It's difficult to know where we stand with everyone else, but we just tried to keep our heads down and just focus on our job. It was, Carlos was incredibly quick. Kimi was really quick. There was, it was difficult to know who's where. But it looks like it's going to be close between us all.
This adaptation process is something Hamilton had anticipated before the race weekend. I'm still learning this new car. That's quite a lot different to what I've driven for my previous career in the sense of Mercedes power coming into Ferrari power, he said. It's something quite new, different vibration, different feel, different way of working. The whole team works completely differently. Hamilton's teammate Charles Leclerc fared only marginally better, finishing 8th after his own strategic misstep and a mistake during the late rain shower. For a big part of the race, we thought P5 was secured, Leclerc commented. Then, obviously the rain arrived and everything changed. The first one to blame is myself, after the mistake I've done exiting turn 11. Despite the disappointing result, both Hamilton and Ferrari's leadership emphasized that one race does not define their season. It's been a tricky day overall, but we'll look into it, Leclerc said. It's only the first race of the season. Yes, it's not the first race we would have hoped for, but looking forward, we need to remotivate ourselves for Shanghai and recover from what was a disappointing first weekend. Hamilton similarly focused on the potential for improvement. I think there's a lot more performance in the car than what we were able to extract today, he said. I think we can improve that in the next race, hopefully, and get the car in a sweeter spot. Vasseur insisted Ferrari's true pace was stronger than Sunday's results suggested, citing tire overheating as a key issue. Friday to Q2 is more representative, he said, though he admitted McLaren remains ahead. For Hamilton, pressure will mount as he strives to restore Ferrari to championship glory, something they haven't achieved since 2008. The contrast between Hamilton's struggles and the success of his former team Mercedes, with Russell securing a podium finish, adds another layer of scrutiny to his performance. However, as a 7-time world champion with a record 103 race wins, Hamilton has demonstrated throughout his career an ability to overcome setbacks and find success even in challenging circumstances. With the Chinese Grand Prix just 1 week away, Hamilton and Ferrari have little time to analyze and address the issues that hampered their performance in Australia. The Shanghai International Circuit will present a different set of challenges, potentially offering Hamilton a more favorable environment to demonstrate the true potential of his partnership with Ferrari. For now, though, the dream start to Hamilton's Ferrari career has turned into something of a nightmare, a sobering reminder that even for the most successful driver in Formula One history, adapting to a new team and car remains a formidable challenge. The 2025 Formula One season begins with a bang this weekend at the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. All eyes will be on 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton as he makes his highly anticipated Ferrari debut after 12 years at Mercedes. In a statement ahead of his first race in the iconic Ferrari Red, Lewis Hamilton delivered a warning that reveals the immense psychological battle he's facing. Hamilton said this during Thursday's press conference.
Through the years, the pressure that I put on myself has always been 10 times higher than any other pressure that can be put upon me. And I think I've not joined this team and been made to feel any pressure. I have an expectation from myself. I know what I can bring. I know I can deliver. I know what it's going to take to do that, and it's just getting your head.
This stunning admission shows Hamilton's mindset as he prepares for what could be the most challenging chapter of his illustrious career. The British driver, now 40 years old, is under extraordinary scrutiny following his blockbuster move to the Scuderia. But can he handle the weight of expectation that comes with driving for F1's most famous team? Hamilton further emphasized his cautious approach. He said, "No expectations this weekend, just getting used to this new car." Is this Hamilton managing expectations, or is there genuine concern about Ferrari's competitiveness? When asked directly if he's happy with the Ferrari car, Hamilton responded,
Yeah, so far I definitely feel so. The first few days we've only had obviously 3 days in the car, but it's difficult to know where we stand with everyone else, but we just try to keep our heads down and just focus on our job. It was, Carlos was incredibly quick. Kimi was really quick. It was difficult to know who's where, but it looks like it's going to be close between us all.
Despite these measured words, Hamilton couldn't hide his excitement.
This is the most exciting period of my life.
A man reborn, or setting himself up for disappointment. Make no mistake, This isn't just another driver changing teams. This is the biggest transfer in Formula One history. Hamilton's move to Ferrari has already generated financial earthquakes in the F1 world. Ferrari merchandise sales have skyrocketed by an astonishing 400% following the announcement. The company's value rose more than 10% to nearly £5.5 billion after revealing Hamilton would join their ranks. Hamilton's first Ferrari-related Instagram post became the most liked F1 post of all time on the platform, accumulating a mind-blowing 5.7 million likes. The hype surrounding this partnership is unprecedented. The British champion has signed a 2-year deal worth over £50 million per year. But the real prize? The chance to make history by winning an 8th World Championship that would break Michael Schumacher's record. And doing it with Ferrari would be the ultimate achievement. Former Ferrari engineer Rob Smedley called the pairing the perfect match.